From past 1 month, Kerala and Kodagu are seeing the worst disaster in decades. The beautiful places have literally turned into graveyards, with hundreds losing life and livelihood. The non-stop rain has brought great destruction to nature and its life to a standstill. If we have observed the pattern since 5 to 10 years, we will notice that such natural calamities have become very common in many places. 4 years back, Uttarakhand saw one of the worst flood ever, which caused great devastation to the entire place. Last year, we witnessed how Tamil Nadu suffered in heavy rains and floods. This year, it is Kerala and Karnataka which is facing the worst floods. At the same time, north part of Karnataka is facing rain deficit, causing great concern to farmers. Such contrast weather conditions have become common in recent years. One may wonder what is the real reason behind these floods and who is to be blamed. Generally, we see people blaming nature, God, and cursing them for this loss. But in real, neither the nature nor God is responsible for these disasters, but it is the man who upset the nature with all his misdeeds. To be more specific, it is the timber mafia, politicians, and land encroachers who are to be blamed. The Western Ghats, which start from Kerala and continue up to Gujarat, are the lifelines of western parts of India in terms of bringing rain, maintaining ecological balance, and weather conditions. Day by day, the forest wealth is being looted by these politicians and the timber mafia, which has resulted in major disturbance in ecological balance. The floods are not a result of overnight destruction of trees and forest, but an accumulation of years of deforestation over many years. Justice Michael F. Saldana, who is now an environmentalist, wrote a letter to the Chief Minister of Karnataka blaming the timber mafia and politicians for such natural disasters. In his letter, he has warned the Chief Minister of catastrophic effects if action is not taken against those responsible for destruction of Kodagu Kaveri belt, which is the main reason for floods. In the letter, he said he was totally horrified to see the amount of devastation in the Kaveri basin, with huge areas today completely denuded due to the felling of crores of trees. Justice Saldana has put the blame on the forest department. According to his enquiries, he wrote that this has happened in collision with the forest department and Kerala timber mafia. Kerala timber mafia induced the state owners and the government officials discriminately fell the trees and transport the timber out to Kerala. The experts have pointed out that unless all this green cover is immediately replaced, it will totally destroy the Kaveri basin, he wrote. His other focus was on the decreasing storage capacity in the catchment areas due to lacks of tons of soil polluting the water and moving into these areas due to lack of green cover. It is necessary that the government sets up a high level committee to examine this issue and that immediate corrective action is taken. Kodagu was witnessed many heavy rainfall before as it lies in the Western Ghats area of Karnataka. It is very common to see heavy rains there, but this was the first time the place experienced massive landslides, floods, which ultimately destroyed the entire city. The major reason for landslides is the excessive deforestation which is happening in the Kaveri basin, making the soil very loose and porous. For a place like Coorg, which has many hill stations, the trees are the biggest support which holds the soil together. But lately, the growth of timber mafia has caused wide scale destruction, wide scale destruction of the forest area, and the hill stations have turned barren. Obviously, when there is no support to hold the soil, the heavy rains has resulted in landslides destroying everything underneath. It can be well remembered that just a month back, The mindless forest department had chopped more than 100 huge trees just because CM Kumaraswamy has visited the place. Now the same place has witnessed landslides and the entire road has been blocked. It is the same case or even worse in Kerala. Kerala, which also receives heavy rainfalls, is also under the threat of landslides. The only thing that prevents landslides and soil erosion is the trees. But the greedy politicians and the timber mafia have literally destroyed the forest region of Kerala, which has resulted in major imbalance in ecology. It was in the year 2013 a survey of the Western Ghat Ecology Expert Panel, that is WGEEP, headed by the environmentalist Madhav Gadgil, has submitted a report about the vast scale destruction of forest area in Kerala by politicians and has suggested to declare 37% of the ghats as ecologically fragile. They had also suggested to classify most of the areas as ecological sensitive zones by the Western Ghats Ecology Expert Panel, which was also known as the Gadgil Committee, pointing out that the environment and ecology of the Western Ghats were under serious threat from human interference. The WGEEP had called for a spat of strict measures intended to protect the ranges classified as the World Heritage Site by the United Nations. The committee had suggested that 140,000 kilometers of Western Ghat be classified into three zones as per the requirement of environmental protection in the areas. In some areas, the committee recommended strong restriction of mining and quarrying, use of land for non-forest purposes, construction of high rises, etc. But soon after the report was submitted, the Congress government under Oman Chandy, along with the Christian missionaries, has opposed the implementation of Gadgil Committee report and threatened to physically harm those people who speak about it. Yes, the Christian missionaries, timber mafia, politicians who were hand in glove opposed the move as their major business would have been affected if Gadgil report was implemented. The Kerala state government had then moved to Supreme Court against the Gadgil report and sought stay on the implementation of NGT's directive, received as snub on October 8 when the apex court dismissed its petition on the same day. Then the Syro-Malabar Catholic Church, the state's largest church, CPI, Congress, had all joined hands together and went to the extent of threatening physically to all those who raised their voices against the timber mafia. We will physically beat back anyone who comes to our area to implement this report, threatened PC George, MLA and chief whip of the ruling Congress led United Democratic Front government. MOEF had later constituted a high level working group headed by space scientist G. Kasturirangan to examine them. However, the Kasturirangan committee generally endorsed the Gadgil report, suggesting only minor changes regarding the zonal classification. Gadgil has opposed Kasturirangan's changes too, saying they too may harm the extreme fragile gods which could ill afford even minor interference. So now we know those so-called religious institutions, politicians, and criminals are hand in glove in looting country's resources, which is the main reason why lakhs of people are suffering today. Since almost 15 days, the people of Kerala and Coorg are suffering in floods. But how many Christian missionaries who opposed Gadgil report, how many parties who went against him are speaking today? They are not bothered about anyone, nor do they care if people die, as they care is about their business and money.